Let's talk a little bit about standardization of processes and work instructions. And Don, maybe you could talk a little bit about that, how that's maybe changed and accelerated, not just with, we've seen the pandemic and those things, but I think, digitization has really helped on that. And I think you already brought it up, right? I think modern technology and the expectations that new workers may have has had a big impact on that as well. So maybe you can get us started in talking about that.
Yeah, no, definitely. No, I think starting off with technology as an enabler, I normally would like to start from the problem, but we'll get there. But technology as an enabler indeed has proven great value in these times. And of course, with the new workforce coming in, the expectations are higher on what digitization is available in manufacturing companies because people are used to work with technologies in their daily life. So the standard is higher in that sense to also continuously engage people. But what we see from the problem perspective and linking that back to technology is maybe related to that resilience. So we have customers that started SwipeGuide for documenting their standards and were like just in time. So we have some food and beverage companies where we work with capturing their standard operating procedures in our cloud platform and making sure that that is available. And they faced quite heavy supply chain pressures and pressures on their workforce because people were dropping out. There were a lot of things happening in the workplace that were really pushing towards standardization and make sure that a person that was used to work on production line 1 can now also assist on production line 3 with well-documented standards. And we see that across the line. A lot of cases also related not only maybe to COVID, but also to the retirement issue, where you see that experienced staff is leaving companies. And we have cases where we sort of work with the experts to capture expert knowledge in digital standard work that then can be utilized for the future of the company, building that resilience. So an example we had recently from Deutsche Bahn is around train maintenance, where one expert engineer could do train repairs on all types, but a lot of other people couldn't. And then trains sometimes stood in the depot for 5 days, having a lot of downtime, so to say. And we captured all that expert knowledge in SwipeGuide, where then with the standard work, even novice engineers could perform these maintenance tasks easily, leading to way less downtime in operations. So I think that's sort of the stuff that you're looking for to make sure that your operations are robust. And I think standard work, capturing the knowledge, making that available either through on-the-job training or for supporting people during their work is quite critical in that sense.
I can only imagine a German train operator having trains sitting still and the anxiety he would potentially feel.
Yeah, definitely. And it's not only there, it's also we had a wine producer, for instance, same issue, a person dropping out, and you have sort of an issue that needs to be fixed. You're stuck for 3 days. So then indeed capturing that knowledge, making it available so that also others can pick up on the work easily is then of course very, very critical. And yeah, that's maybe giving a bit of depth to the term resilience. That's what we mean. Yeah.
Erid or Mike, anything that you'd like to add to that?
I'll just add that I think standards are so important. As an engineer, I think of this way: the world needs more standards. But fundamentally, standards in the workforce apply broadly to so many areas. We focus and my passion is around creating standards in terms of role definition and what is someone supposed to be skilled at to perform certain operations. What is expected of them. For the front line, we strongly recommend using certifications and creating these standards and then certifying that people have met those standards so that you have the resilience Dan was talking about.
I'll add also a few more things, which is recommendations and approaches of creating or updating standards. I've had this role in the past as an industrial engineer where I'm tasked with creating the work procedures and standards, and then you go down to the shop floor, presenting the tables of the law, right, to people, and like, this is what you're supposed to follow. And that is not necessarily the best approach, because it rarely matches the reality of the shop floor and the needs of the shop floor, because you're not, as an industrial engineer, all the time on the shop floor. The best people to build those standards alongside with the experts are the people performing the job. So capturing the knowledge and the experience of people who've been doing this for years, and they know the obstacles they face and so on, is crucial to engage those employees who will do the job on documenting the job instructions and the best way to do things. The second thing I'll add is to not perceive standards as what is written on stone. Like most companies say, like, this standard is, this is the way we do things around here, and you have to follow it. Whereas when I was in Toyota, the philosophy around standards was slightly different, but very significantly different, which is a standard is the current best way we know on performing this job until we find a better way. And there is always a better way. So make sure that wherever you document your standards, they're easy to access and update. So that would be my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. And I think that speaks to some, Don and I, you and I have talked about how it's so important that dynamics are living and breathing things that that can be updated and changed. So so with talking about standardization on process, let's maybe talk a little bit about, okay, well, if you establish these standards, so this is a great sort of lead in, well, how do you maintain those standards, and how can technology help? I mean, we sort of really just got into that with the fact that standards aren't, sort of cast in stone as much as they are a current best practice, that as the products evolve, as supply chains evolve, as knowledge evolves, they need to adapt. And I think that's part of, the word resilience comes to mind again from what you used before, Don, on that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I love what Eric added. I think that is critical, and also builds up on this point, like, how do you maintain it? And if you sort of look at maintenance of these standards as something you want to have as sort of a shared responsibility, then technology, of course, is hugely powerful. So we like to see standards not as a one-time effort, but just like Eric also highlighted, as a continuous effort where you try to find ways of improving, and that the ideas for the improvement are there in the front line. People in offices, engineers don't know how to come to these improvements, because the people that perform the job on a daily basis, they encounter the issues. And that's where we see that technology can help you to democratize the knowledge. So it's not only the knowledge from the ivory tower of engineering, no, it's the knowledge from the people on the shop floor. And if you engage the people on the shop floor, or in the front line to speak broader, then it gives them a sense of ownership over the standard. And it's not some sort of department saying, like, you have to perform your job like this. No, you, together with the team in the front line, document the processes. It's your standard. You're responsible. You can improve it. It's a dynamic process, and we provide you with the technologies to do so. So that's why we put a lot of effort in making sure that our sort of editing part of Swipe Guide is available on tablets, that people on the shop floor can easily document the standards and push them out. And then, of course, technology also helps you to manage the quality and compliance of that. So we support, for instance, then workflows where you still, in sort of a crowdsourced approach to standards, can verify with the right people that stuff is safe and up to par in terms of quality and efficiency before it is pushed out as a standard. So I think the maintenance only works in a distributed model, maybe hybrid model, so that you involve the frontline in the creation and improving, and hybrid in a sense that you still have your checks and balances in place to make sure that every job is done the right way, also in terms of quality and compliance.
Absolutely. And Aaron, I can see the sparkle in your eye already when we talk about democratization and empowering the front line. I know you have something to add here.
Yeah, for sure. It's tapping into that knowledge of people. I mean, they're the ones who are facing the daily issues of the shop floor every single day. And talking about maintenance of standards, do not make it a yearly grand event or every couple of years to update your standards. I mean, every time you solve a problem, you find a root cause. The only way to systemically really address an issue is to making sure that whatever standards or checklists there are updated, and the best people as a source to finding those issues and finding the solutions for a better standard are your frontline employees. And in this aspect, even though I'm a big fan of, get the principles right first and make it on paper and before you go into technology, in this particular case, I think technology is not just a cool thing or a cooler thing than in paper. It's a fundamental change of how you manage your standards. Why is Wikipedia right now much more valuable and accessible and rich and up to date than Encyclopedia Britannica? Because whenever you want to make an update or a correction to the printed encyclopedia, the logistical process is a nightmare, right? Just editing, printing, distributing it, and so on. And the technology side of what enables Wikipedia to be Wikipedia is it's not just a nicer way to distribute it, it's at its core to make it much more collaborative and live and up to date. So fully recommend diving fully into the technological side of managing standards.